area. I love this segment. Let's talk real estate with Alex.
All right, John, stick around. Real estate markets can change with the season, and some experts say fall is a great time for buyers because there's less competition. Joining us now is Stephen James, President and CEO of Douglas Elliman NYC, with their latest market trends. So Stephen always gives us the scoop that we need to know. So that's why I invite him back. So let's talk about the trends here as far as now being a time to buy. Does it really matter what time of year you should be shopping?
It does. It does. You know, when it's cold and snowy, no one wants to look at anything, much less real estate. So, yeah, the fall is a really good time. People feel good. Usually it's after the school year starts, though, because then there's more time and less attention to getting the kids ready for the beginning of school.
Right.
But also in the spring, early spring. Traditionally in Manhattan, it's usually right after the first of the year because they really like to see if they can get a jump. But it really starts really strongly, you know, April, May for sure, and it carries through to like June.
So is it an archaic way of thinking that people usually only move during the summer?
A little bit. It used to be the traditional way. That stopped probably 10 years ago because the market changed. You know, the inventory kept going down and down and down, and there wasn't a lot to look at. So the consumer would get out any time they could, even if it were snowing, they would be out looking at properties because of the inventory.
So looking at your report, we heard that Manhattan sales declined sharply.
Yes.
Why is that?
Well, I mean, the number is high, but if you look at reality, the mansion tax played a big part in this. And the mansion tax was going up as of July 1st from 1% across the board all the way up to like 2.9%. That's a big jump at the higher level. I mean, that's cash out of pocket for the consumer. And I think that there was a real push to beat that July 1st so they could take advantage of that, and they did.
Okay, that makes sense.
If you compare Q2 and Q3 number of sales to a year before, it's only off 1.7%. So that's kind of shocking when you see this 14% number, but it's because everybody closed early.
So that's what's going on in Manhattan. Let's talk about some of the boroughs right now. Moving on to Brooklyn sales and pricings. What can you tell us there? We're seeing that price trends floored it with records?
Yes, absolutely. Brooklyn is still really strong, and I think one of the reasons strong, it's got great housing stock, but more importantly, that consumer from Manhattan had to find alternatives for affordability and a better product to place their money. And so they started probably very thoroughly the last 3 or 4 years in Brooklyn. And that's one of the reasons that market's still strong, even though the prices are down a bit.
Okay, so moving into Queens, this is something that you said surprised even you. So the report found more inventory and record pricing. So what's happening there? Are we talking about a new hot spot potentially?
Well, yes, but you know, Queens has been pretty good for the last year or so.
Okay.
I mean, it's grown. It's the star of this report, I think.
Wow.
And I think the main reason is Queens is benefiting from the overflow of Brooklyn. That consumer, just like they wanted a better affordability, better space, bigger space, and the prices went up in Brooklyn, they started looking at Queens, and they found it, and they're continuing to find it. And there's some great places. Ridgewood is terrific. You know, they're bargaining prices there now, and it's very solid. Astoria is very solid. And if you're looking for a rental, and rentals have gone through the roof, Long Island City is a terrific place, you know, to find a rental in Queens.
And someone that's Greek, I say, go to Astoria, get some food. It's delicious.
Absolutely.
Let's go ahead and take our tour a little farther north. Let's talk Riverdale, and let's go into Westchester County. Yeah,
Westchester is a bit of a surprise for me because it's done very well this quarter. And I think we all thought that maybe the change in the transfer taxes where the seller had to pay more money would dampen it. But no, that's not what happened. And even the mansion tax didn't have any play in it because the average price is below $1 million, and that's where the mansion tax are. So in some sense, Westchester benefited this go-round, and there's still great housing stock in Westchester. Taxes are the big consideration there. They are high, but they're great school systems.
I know we briefly showed Riverdale. Let's talk about that more specifically as well.
Yes, Riverdale is an interesting market because it's a very small market, and it gets affected very quickly when there are swings. The last few quarters others. Riverdale has done terrifically. The sales were down a bit. The median average price was down a bit, but there's still affordability for the consumer who wants to be outside of Manhattan or the other areas.
Well, thank you for breaking it all down. There you go. If you know where you want to be, you know what you're up against. Stephen, thank you for being here.
Thank you.